So World Rugby announced their awards for the 2024 year the other day. It's a little bit late, but I figure we'll go through some of the award winners and you guys can let us know your thoughts on who was kind of rightly or wrongly given the awards, including like one I find interesting is the men's 15s Dream Team of the Year. As a guy who like spends a fair few hours each year picking like teams of the week and teams of the tournament and whatnot, I always find that one kind of particularly interesting to be on the other side of things, looking at someone else's team and, potentially disagreeing with a few of the picks. But we'll go through them and you guys can let us know your thoughts. Obviously, Men's Player of the Year went to Pieter-Steph du Toit. I was pretty happy with that one, to be fair. I genuinely think he's been the best player in the world consistently for 2024. Remember, they only really take test matches into account. Haven't seen any of his games over in Japan for his club, but in terms of test level, he's been player of the match so many times. His stats are genuinely incredible. He can play lock, he can play flank. He tackles the house down. He makes guys' lives miserable. Just does everything. So, really didn't come as a surprise to me. I saw some people saying, Cheslin Colby should get it because Pieter-Steph's had it before. I don't think that's the way it works. Player of the Year is Player of the Year. You can get it multiple times. So, Pieter-Steph is going to certainly be inserting himself into that kind of GOAT conversation because he's one of only a handful of guys who's now won it multiple times. Bodie Barrett's also won it twice. Richie McCaw and Dan Carter both won it 3 times. So he's in a pretty elite group of guys. He's another kind of double World Cup winning, now double Men's Player of the Year winner. So massive, massive achievement for him. Obviously Eben and Kalen were the other 2 nominees, but if you were giving me the pick, I would have also picked Pieter-Steph, so I was pretty happy with that one. Antoine Dupont got the men's 7s Player of the Year. I do not watch anywhere near enough 7s to know if he's the right guy. I certainly watch the Olympics, but that's such a small sample of the entire year. So, hard one for me to judge. But if you'd asked me, looking at all the awards and said, life on the line, pick one award, like if you get it right, you live, I would have picked him to get the 7s one because it was just always going to be him. He's just such a big name. He won Olympic gold. I know France has not been a traditional big kind of 7s powerhouse, but the fact that they won gold and he had an impact on that, I felt like he was always going to get it. So now he joins Portia Woodman as the only people who've ever won 7s Player of the Year and 15s Player of the Year. So also kind of in that GOAT conversation, like there's very few players who get that kind of achievement as well. So, Antoine Dupont won that one. Coach of the Year went to the French. I didn't know who he was when I first saw the name. As soon as I saw the name, I figured it was the men's 7s coach for the French team, but Jérôme Daré, I'd never heard of him. Again, I don't follow 7s enough, so I thought that one was a little bit of a surprise because I don't believe for Coach of the Year a 7s coach has ever got it. It's mostly been men's 15s coaches, and there's been a few times when it's been women's 15s coaches. Like Simon Middleton's won it before, Wayne Smith's won it before, with England and with the Black Ferns respectively, but for a 7s coach to get it, it's a big achievement, especially when you consider like Rassie's year with the Springboks has been pretty incredible. They won all but 2 of their games. They won every trophy I think they were competing for. Both the games they lost were by like a point, and he rotated the squad like mad. So a pretty big achievement. But I guess they're looking at it like taking a world-class squad and getting world-class results is maybe less than taking a squad. As I said, I don't think 7s-wise France are an absolute powerhouse. Taking them from middling to top class is a bigger achievement. I don't know, but Olympic gold I guess is a pretty big carrot to be dangled. So that one caught me certainly by surprise. I wouldn't have picked that. I would have picked, as my guess, if not Rassie, I would have picked John Mitchell, just because the English women's side have been all conquering this year. I think they literally won all their games. But again, world-class side gets world-class results, so a similar position to Rassie, I guess, old John Mitchell. But Rassie certainly won it before. He won it in 2019. And you get the feeling he's not the most popular guy in World Rugby, so like with the big wigs at World Rugby, because he's a little bit controversial, so probably didn't do him any favours But yeah, that one certainly caught me by surprise. Some of the women's winners, like Ellie Kildan, getting women's 15s player of the year, again, didn't catch me by surprise at all because of the all-conquering year the women have had. I don't follow enough women's rugby to know for sure, but that would have certainly been one of the other ones I would have been putting money on, other than the DuPont one, to be a pretty much a sure thing just because of the year they've had. And Madison Levi got the women's sevens player of the year. A few of you kind of sevens aficionados called that one just because of the impact she's had. So, yeah. Breakthrough players, Wallace Satiti got it for the All Blacks. I think he was a pretty good shout. I wasn't sure if I was being biased just because he's a Kiwi and we didn't get nominated for so many awards this year. But, yeah, I think to go from being outside of the squad at the start of the season to being basically a guaranteed pick at the end of the season shows you like how much he has broken through. Sasha Feinberg and Gomazulu's injury towards the end of the year didn't help him because he didn't get as many games. And yeah, I think Satiti probably got that one pretty deservedly. I was pretty happy with that. Erin King got the breakthrough player for the women's 15s. Again, not enough women's rugby for mine, but based on how Ireland's been going, they've also been going from kind of a middling team to an improving team. So that seems like a kind of fair reflection on that game. So those were kind of all the individual awards. I thought they were largely pretty predictable. The coach one is really the one that took me by surprise. The men's 15s dream team of the year. Now there's some which I think are pretty fair. I don't know what their process is to go through this. Like my process whenever I pick a dream team is like combination of stats and a bit of gut feel, because stats don't obviously represent everything. But I don't know what their process is. Some of them seem really fair. Like the fact that Oxenchair is the loose head prop, 100%. Like he should have been a world player of the year for men's 15s, 100%. So at least they got him on the list somewhere. So Ox, 100%. You won't hear any arguments from me for Ox getting that in that side. Malcolm Marx was the hooker. Pretty fair. I think you could make an argument for a few guys. You could make an argument for Melvaka from France. You could make an argument from Cody Taylor. But the fact that Malcolm Marx is there, I wouldn't like get into an argument with anyone about that one. I would be like, yep, that sounds fair to me. Tyrell Lomax, likewise, at tight head. I genuinely think he's been one of the better scrummaging tight heads in world rugby. Like Scottish fans will say Xander Fagerson has had a really good year. You could make an argument for a few other guys, but I got no problem. So the front row guys, I think are pretty good picks. And Eben Etzebeth, if he's going to be a individual men's 15s nominee, then he has to make the dream team, basically. Unless he'd played the same position as Peter Steff, you know what I mean, and lost out. So the fact that Eben got the individual nomination, he has to be in the team of the year. I think he's had a pretty good year. So yeah, I think that's a pretty fair pick. And they put Tyke Byrne there, which is an interesting one because I feel like Tyke Byrne individually has had better years than this year. I'm not saying this year was a bad year, but I don't think it's his best year. Is he the best like loose head lock in world rugby? English fans could make an argument for Maro Itoje. At line-out time, that guy's been incredibly disruptive. Yeah, you could certainly pick a few others, but they went with Tyke Byrne. As I said, I think Tyke Byrne individually has had better years than this year, but that doesn't mean he's not had a good year this year, if you know what I mean. Pablo Matera got a nod on the flank. He had a really big rugby championship for sure, and it's good to see a bit of Argentinian representation given how well they played this year. Personally, if I was going to chuck an Argentinian on the flank, and again, I'm a stats guy, it'd be Juan Martín Gonzalez. I think he's done a bit more this year, but I've got no problem with Matera. So I might change it to Juan Martín if I was picking it, but Juan Martín plays number 8 sometimes, so maybe that's why they went with Matera as part of it. And Matera, to be fair, is a bigger name. I feel like that goes with part of it. Peter Steff's obviously in there. You can't win men's 15s player of the year and not get a spot in the dream team. Like the fact that he's there means guys like Satiti, who's largely played 6, which is 7 in South Africa, can't get in there. And like guys like Rob Valentini, he's probably omitted because of the likes of a Peter Steff being there. So there's been a lot of good loosies this year. And then Caelan Doris, again, he was nominated for the top 4, so he has to be in the 15. So Caelan Doris pick makes sense to me. A lot of good loose forwards, but the fact that 2 of the 4 guys for World Player of the Year for men's 15s were loosies means they have to be in this side. Jameson gives a puck at 9. Pretty happy with that. I saw some people saying, what about Antoine Dupont? Well, I think he only played like 3 tests. It's pretty hard to get in on 3 tests, I reckon. So I think Jamison Gibson Park's a pretty fair call. Ireland generally look a better side when that guy's there. Moving that ball around, quick recycle play. I think he's been really good for a long time, so I think that's pretty fair. I don't think I would change it. D-Mac at 10. That one genuinely caught me by surprise. D-Mac at 10. Like, he lost his place as the starting 10 for the All Blacks over this season. So that one is... I think I would probably change that one. Like, Marcus Smith's been really good for England. I think genuinely kind of elevated the side. Thomas Albanese has had a breakthrough season with Argentina. He's finally got the reins. Like, he's... Over the last few years, he would get 5 minutes from the bench here, 2 minutes from the bench there. They've actually given him the reins this year, and Argentina has had a phenomenal year. I think a large part of that is down to the way Thomas Albanese has been playing at 10. So, yeah, I find the... Not that I think D-Mac has been bad. I actually think D-Mac gets singled out for more criticism than he deserves, but I don't think D-Mac's the 10 of the year, personally. Midfield, they went with De Allende and Creel. I think that's pretty fair. Both those guys have been really good. You could make an argument for Menincello from Italy because he got Six Nations Player of the Year, and he was like, even against the All Blacks when they lost, he looked really good. The 2 Scottish lads, the Hugh Pilotu combo, they've been really good, but I don't have a problem with the 2 South African lads being there. James Lowe on the left wing. The fact that he did better at the start of the year maybe is a little bit surprising because we got a real recency bias. He played really well in the Six Nations. I think he scored 4 tries. He was one of the top try scorers of the competition. I think Duan scored more than him as terms of left wingers. But James Lowe's been pretty good. But you could certainly make an argument on recent form Louis Bielbiaré, but he wasn't as prolific in the Six Nations. I think he only scored 1 try. As I said, Duan van der Merwe was a nominee for Six Nations Player of the Year way at the start of the year. So he's Scotland's top try scorer. You could make an argument for him. Cheslin Colby on the right. I don't think you can have much of an argument about that one. Again, given he got a nominee for World Player of the Year. And then Will Jordan at fullback. I reckon I'd change it. I'm not trying to be against my fellow Kiwis, but Will Jordan, best fullback of the year? I think I'd go Juan Cruz Malia from Argentina. He had a magnificent year. He's been in storming form. I mean, even Tom Wright put his hand up for the Aussies at the end of the year, but I don't think Will Jordan's had like Tyke Byrne. Like, I don't think Will Jordan's had his best ever year for the All Blacks. I think his best games for the All Blacks still have been on the wing thus far. But that's the thing. You pick any 15, and nobody is going to agree with 15 from 15 picks. So, yeah, there's a few guys, interestingly, who've retained their spots from last year. Like, Eben was in last year's Team of the Year. Caelan Doris was in last year's Team of the Year. Will Jordan was in last year's Team of the Year. But, I mean, some guys like Ringrose and Aki didn't make it. Cyril Bay, Dan Sheehan's been injured. Tyke Furlong. So there's been a few guys who've kind of missed out. Antoine Dupont was playing 7, so kind of he missed out. But, yeah, Team of the Year. You guys let us know your thoughts. What did you reckon about World Rugby's Team of the Year? As I said, I don't really know their selection process. I get the feeling do they sit around a room having a few drinks and just write names down, or do they each pick a team and then it's the guy with the most votes that makes it in? I'd be fascinated to know. But anyway, you guys let us know your thoughts on who you would have in. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. I would greatly appreciate it. There's certainly more rugby stuff to come. I'm currently working on some depth charts, which should be pretty tasty as we are now at the end of the international year. But they will take a little bit of time to kind of prep and analyze. But yeah, you guys take care of yourselves. Let us know your thoughts, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.